Hey, accounting scholars, welcome back to Chapter 11, Section 2. Hey, we're going to start applying some of these concepts we talked about earlier in terms of risk and time value of money, compounding, things of that nature. But before we do that, we're going to have to define some variables here. So, with regard to the factors we need to be concerned about, the first is the future value. So if you make an investment today, what's the future value of that investment? Second is the present value. What is, if you get a return in the future, what is the value of that return in today's dollar or present value? Then we talked about compounding in the first section of this chapter, and so you're going to capture the number of periods that you actually are going to be compounding. Then you have the annual interest rate that you're going to be paid on an investment, and then the total number of compounding payments. And the term ANN, A capital N, refers to something called an annuity, which we are going to talk about a little later in this chapter. But make sure you get all of this in your notes. It'll be it's going to be helpful to you as we move through the chapter. Okay, so let's talk about the future value of a dollar. So a dollar today. Let's say, what's a dollar today worth in 5 years? So the basic question here is, what amount will a dollar today grow to at some point in the future? So you have some variables here. So let's take an example. Let's say a rich uncle dies and you receive $2,000 today. You want to know, hey, what is it going to be worth in 5 years if I can invest it at an 8% interest rate that's going to be compounded on a quarterly basis or 4 times per year? Well, your present value is $2,000. Your rate is 8%. You're going to compound at 4 times a year or quarterly. The number of periods you're going to compound is going to be 20, 5 years times 4 periods per year. And the annuity is 0, therefore your future value is going to be, let's just get down here, it's going to be $2,971.89. So if you invested $2,000 today and you did it over a 5-year period at an 8% interest rate compounded quarterly, you would have $2,971.89 in 5 years. So how'd you get that? Well, basically, if you do the math here and follow the formula, you've got present value times a dollar plus R/C over n, the number of periods, that equals future value. If we plug in the numbers that we were dealing with, we've got $2,000 times $1 plus 8%, 4 times at a 20N equals our future value. We do the math and we have $2,971.89. So $2,000 invested today would be worth $2,971.89 in 5 years. Okay, here again, what is the present value of a dollar? And this particular question is answered, what is the dollar at some point in the future worth today? So let's say somebody says to you, I'm going to give you a $5,000 check in 5 years. You'll say to yourself, well, how much is that actually worth today? Well, let's say in this particular example, we're going to get a $2,000 check in 5 years, and we want to know what it's worth today if we could invest it at an 8% interest compounded quarterly. So, basically we're dealing with the same variables, except we're going to kind of do this in reverse. So the answer here is pretty much gonna be something less, obviously, than $5,000, or I'm sorry, $2,000. In fact, if you got $2,000 in 5 years, it would be worth $1,345.94 today. How'd you get that? Well, the math is pretty clear. If you follow the formula at the top and you plug in the numbers associated with those particular variables, you end up with the $1,345.94. Okay, so here again, make sure you understand the variables associated with this equation, the difference between an investment today and what it's worth in 5 years versus a payoff in 5 years and what it's worth today. All right, we're going to end that here. We're going to end here, guys, and have a great night, and we'll have some problems on this tomorrow.